Hey guys and girls, it's Daniel Walsh from Your Property Wealth. Today we're talking about deposit sizes and what deposit size you should be using when building a property portfolio. Now, I think this is probably one of my most common questions that I get asked is, so what deposit size should I be putting down? And it really depends on the situation that you're in. So let's go through the 4 most common deposit sizes and where they're used or where the benefit is for each of these deposit sizes. So number 1 would be a 5% deposit. Now generally a 5% deposit would be used when, let's say a first home buyer is trying to buy in the market, they're trying to enter the market and they're struggling to save the necessary funds to be able to get into that property. And let's say that the property market's rising as well. So what happens is they can't save quick enough to be able to get into the market. So what they're going to do is use a 5% deposit to be able to get into the market as early as possible before the prices continue to rise. Another reason that people would use a 5% deposit is if they do acknowledge that the market is rising and it's rising quite sharply and they believe that the market's going to continue to rise, that they might be putting down 5% deposits so that they can buy multiple properties as investment properties to maximize their position in the market as the market rises. So they're going to get as much equity as they possibly can and build their net worth a lot quicker by using the 5% deposits. It's always, you've got to be very careful. So when you're using a 5% deposit, you've got to understand that you only own 5% of that property at that point. So let's say that there was a downturn of 5 or 10%, then you could be in negative equity territory quite quickly. So when it does come to using 5% deposits, you've got to understand the risks before buying the property and understand that you're going to be holding that property for the long term if something was to go wrong and negative equity was to occur in the property. Now, number 2 is a 10% deposit. So 10% deposits are fairly standard and a lot of investments are bought with a 10 or a 12% deposit. The reason why people use a 10% deposit is to maximize their position. So anything under a 20% deposit, you're going to be paying what they call lender's mortgage insurance. So this is capitalized onto the loan and it is a depreciable item. So if you're buying an investment property and it costs you $5,000 in lender's mortgage insurance, you get to claim that over the next 5 years, so you're going to get some of that back. So investors recognize that and they think, well, instead of putting a 20% deposit down, I'm going to save some of my own cash and I'm going to put down a 10% deposit, and that means I could probably buy 2 properties instead of 1 property. So instead of buying 1 property with 20% deposit, they're buying 2 properties with 10% deposits each. And what they're doing is maximizing their position in the market to be able to grow their net worth a lot quicker. Now, 12% deposits. So number 3, which is 12% deposits. It's very similar to the 10% deposits, but it's what we've found is the sweet spot for lender's mortgage insurance. So you're going to be putting an extra 2% deposit down, but in saying that, you're going to be paying less in terms of lender's mortgage insurance. So somebody that's a little bit more conscious of lender's mortgage insurance and what they're paying might be putting in a 12% deposit rather than a 10% deposit. It's a little bit more, but it's going to save you a little bit more in terms of lender's mortgage insurance. Again, somebody using 12% deposit are going to be maximizing their position and they want to be, making sure that they're buying a property, or they might be buying 2 properties with the deposit that they have. So they look at the deposit and say, I can split this and I can put this out and buy 2 properties instead of 1. So it's just maximizing your position in the market. Number 4. Number 4 is a 20% deposit. So most people are familiar with 20% deposits. The reason why people use 20% deposits is because they don't want to pay lender's mortgage insurance. And the other reason is because they want to make sure they have a bigger equity stake, or they own more of the property from the get-go, so that if something was to happen to the market and the market was to decrease 5 or 10%, that they still have equity in the property. So it's safeguarding them against negative equity, and it's also making them, sleep at night thinking that it's a more safer, or it's a safer way to go. So 20% deposits is if you do put a 20% deposit down, and let's say that property does go up in value, you're going to be able to access the equity a lot quicker, because anything above the 20% is going to be your equity to use for future deposits. Now, if you were to do a 12 or a 10% deposit, then what you're going to have to do is wait for that property to go up in value, roughly 8%, so that you own 20% of the property. And then from there, if it goes up anything more, you can then take that out as equity for future deposits. These are the most common used, or the 4 most common used deposit sizes that I see. Each serve a different purpose, and it really comes down to what's the best scenario for you when looking at your situation. If you would like us to take a look at your situation and see what deposit size or how to build your property portfolio, then please get into touch with us at info@ypyw.com.au. And if you like my videos, please like, share and comment. And until next time guys, have a great day.